Hi, no one watching because I just popped on. Yeah, I'm doing this video as a sort of reach out to anyone out there who's suffering from mental illness or insanity or madness or whatever you want to call it. Although, yeah, usually this channel's a community here for absolutely anybody who wants to work on sorting themselves out. I'm not excluding anyone here, but yeah, I am doing a reaching out towards a specific demographic because there are a lot of people with the whatever you want to call it, dealing with various forms of madness or depression. Who are out there on their own. And so I'm reaching out to them specifically, but not excluding anyone here. Hey, Andrew, good to see you. I'll check messages here in a minute. I'm just going to try to spit out what I was going to say. So for anyone who's just coming across this randomly, because you are dealing with insanity, depression, suicidal thoughts, bipolar, schizophrenic, anything like that. I just wanted to let you know that I'm here and I'm a part of this channel. This Lunatic Live shit isn't all this channel's about. I've got a co-host, Ryan, who does a lot of interesting material you can check out. But at the moment, this is just about part of what I do here. So one of the things that I've been doing here on the channel that people have written into the channel and told me have helped is just being publicly crazy and being okay with it. So I'm bipolar, although I don't handle it the way... Yeah, I don't particularly prescribe to the mental illness model of this. But what my diagnosis is bipolar. And I'm not very articulate at the moment. I haven't been on the channel all week. I've been really depressed the past couple days, and I'm really depressed at the moment. I'm sure that comes across in my body language and everything. So I'm not thinking clearly. I'm very depressed. And in fact, I'm coming on in this mood because I'm trying to show it's okay to be fucked up. And so I'm going to make a point with this channel of not just coming on always and showing my best face. For the past few days now, I've been really depressed, very tired. And yeah, that's the way I'm feeling now, and I'm not embarrassed by it. I feel no need to justify my existence, despite the fact that I'm insane and not feeling very well. So it's all right to be mad. And if you're out there and you don't know anyone who's given you that message, if there's anyone out there who needs that fucking message that it's okay to be mad and that there are other ways to deal with it other than just the standard psychiatric model. So rather than trying to get back to normal, I've worked on being crazy the best way I can be. I've worked on learning how to be insane properly for me. Rather than trying to cure myself. So that's something that I'll talk about throughout all kinds of videos on this channel. Also, we do have audience members on for conversations to talk about what they're going through. So anyone out there who's depressed, insane, lost, alone, or not, anyone out there who feels they would benefit from talking to Ryan and or I is welcome to write into the channel at sortingmyselfout0@gmail.com. That fucking sounds ridiculous that I just said that. But anyway, despite the fact that I'm depressed, I'm going to get to these messages in a moment. But for anyone who's watching, don't let that fucking taint how you interact with me. If you're doing great, tell me you're doing great. I've learned when I get depressed not to like push that onto other people or, yeah, you don't have to hide that you're doing well. It's fine. I can be feeling low and you can be feeling high, and that's totally cool. So, Andrew, we haven't talked in a while. How are things going with you if you're still watching? And now let's check and see what We Are Victorious has been saying. I feel all these things. I try and be me. I meditate as well. Put on some positive meditation type music. It helps lighten the atmosphere for me. I want to learn to consume better mental material. Okay, excellent point. We are victorious. And have I talked to you before on here? Again, my brain's not working very well right now. So I'm not sure if I'm mixing you up with someone else or if you're new to interacting with me. But it's an excellent point you make there. Also, okay, yeah, I thought so. Meditation helps just fantastically meditation's great for fucking anyone. Sam makes excellent points, but for crazy people in particular, I have a lot of fucking shit going on inside of me. And to keep all that straight takes a lot of time and introspection and shadow work and all that bullshit. So meditation's fantastic. And yes, being aware of what we're taking in, that we, the same way that most people pay attention to their diet and are concerned about what they're putting into their bodies, our media consumption is like mental consumption. We really take in and make a part of us what we watch. So we should be very careful with what content we consume, especially when we're not doing well. And I didn't come on here like looking for help with my depression. I know how to deal with it and everything. Sometimes I need to let the depression ride out and try to treat it more like deep rest. Like I'm so fucking tired the past couple days. I could just fucking lay and meditate for hours and hours and hours, but I've had shit to do. And yeah, but so for me, mostly it's been coming out as this extreme tiredness, and I'm not getting caught up in any of the negative thoughts or anything. I mean, I have them all the time. I've had lots of horrible thoughts about doing this channel recently while depressed, but they pop up and I don't attach to them. They're not me. I'm just aware that when I'm depressed, that kind of shit comes. I forget what the fuck I was saying. It doesn't matter. So yeah, that's the point of me coming on when I'm like this. Especially like modern fucking world with so much Facebook and Instagram and whatever fucking else social media that I don't use that's out there. There's so much people putting their best face forward and so much trying to impress people and all that bullshit. And we're all fucking fucked up in some way. And who gives a shit? Like, just ride out the hard times. Do the best you can. Do the best you can. You struggle. And then when you feel beaten down from the struggle, you give yourself a fucking break because you're just human and you're doing your best just like everyone else here. So Caesar says, I am type 2 bipolar, but not insane. I wonder why you're saying you're insane. Is it the down period depression ongoing that is influencing you? Wish you to get better fast. Okay, thanks. And perhaps we're using the word insane differently, but I say I'm insane because my brain doesn't work the way most people's do. I have extreme emotions. I have delusions, and it can go to psychosis. My brain functions very strangely. I'm bipolar type 1. Now, what exactly insanity is insanity? Is it really an illness or not? Or is it a unique disposition, perhaps some form of dangerous gift? Yeah, I totally look at it that way as well. But to me, insane means a brain that doesn't work the way most brains do. I fucking talk to angels and shit. So, yeah, I'm aware that some people would say that that's not insane, that there's another reality and, bipolar and schizophrenic people are natural born shamans, or that it's all spiritual and whatnot. I'm cool with both. Like, I'm not looking to impose my worldview on anyone, and I'm not certain what the fuck my worldview is. I have multiple worldviews. So for me, I have no problem saying I'm insane. Now, what exactly does insane mean? That's debatable. But to me, yeah, even when I'm at my most level, I still consider myself insane all the time. My brain doesn't work the way it used to. And even when I'm the most level, I'm certainly not normal. Um, but I don't push that on anyone else. Like if you're saying you're type 2 bipolar and you're not insane, I accept that. Like you can define yourself however you want, and we all use words differently. And I'm not telling anyone else how to define me. Just words are so fucking difficult. It's hard to get across. Okay, and then Caesar wrote, I'll get to yours, Andrew, in just a second. Because, sorry, Caesar wrote something else there while I was rambling. Not I am, damn it, LOL. I have T2 bipolar, I mean. That's the correct way of putting it, since when one having cancer, one does not say, I am cancer, I am not my diagnosis, I am more than that, you too. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And for me to say I am, yeah, I don't limit myself to any of this. Tell you the truth, I don't know what the fuck I am. I lean more towards I have a body than I am a body, and I don't know exactly what my fucking consciousness is. But for me, like bipolar, insane, any of that shit, it's like, yeah, I think differently. I don't limit myself. This would be so much easier if we were just talking face to face. But so how you doing at the moment? You have your however you look at it, your condition or your tendencies under control, or however you look at it. Like, are things going well for you overall? It's also, I'm not on here like bitching or moaning. I don't have to complain about this. I don't have to vent. I'm fine that I'm depressed. It's all right. I'm not looking for help. I'm just like, this is like an exercise in authenticity. I'm just sharing it. I'm cool. I'll feel better later. And yeah. But anyway, I want to see what Andrew said. So Andrew says, things are going well with me. Diet is finally on track, and I'm finally getting back to making videos. Fucking awesome. I'll be making an update to share with sorting myself out. My dream life has been improving too. Then he says, oh, and I love having a puppy. It's drastically improved my mood. Okay, that's fucking awesome. We had talked recently, just briefly. You told me some interesting dream stuff. And yeah, I want to have you on both talk about whatever videos you're getting back to making and to hear about that. I think Ryan's going to have some more time soon, so hopefully like the three of us can get together and record it or live stream soon, catch up with what you're doing. And I'm really glad things are going well with the puppy. Puppies are fucking adorable. And okay, I'm just going to show that message without even reading it. I'm just going to trust everyone on here. Yeah, animals are fucking awesome. I don't have any pets. My wife's got lots of pets at her house, and they've got like chickens and stuff over there. But I do like spending time outside in the summer, hanging out with the birds and the chipmunks and whatever else comes through my yard. There was a wild turkey in the yard yesterday. There was a coyote right under my window a few weeks ago. And there's one fucking groundhog here. I've never seen it before. This is one little fucking groundhog that I saw it up on a fence post. And then I saw it up a tree. And then I saw it up another tree another day. There's a groundhog that fucking acts like a koala bear. Will climb right up like 2 stories in the air and hang out up there eating leaves. It's fucking weird. But animals are awesome. Dust to dust. Hello, how are you doing this evening? All right, so I think this is the one I approved without reading. Trust the process. Oh, see, my eye picked up the word trust, and so let's hear. I heard bipolar is caused by smoking, but I call it bullshit. I've never heard that before. But I have seen some stuff that says schizophrenics and some bipolar people are like dramatically more likely to smoke and way more likely to chain smoke. And for me, yeah, chain smoking to me really feels like medication. It helps with the racing thoughts and everything. And I've read that like a lot of schizophrenic people find that too. But But I've never heard bipolar is caused by smoking. Levi Proud. Hello, Levi. How are you doing? Says, I smoke weed and bipolar helps me. Yeah, I smoke weed too. Too much weed's not good for me, but not enough isn't good for me either. Which is like that with any fucking chemicals. Dust to Dust says, bipolar is caused by stress and obsessive thoughts that have no resolutions. That's my experience. Okay, well, my bipolar appears to have started like with getting hit by a bus, which they, like psychiatrists were saying, I might have snapped at some point anyway. I might have snapped earlier with the right stress. They also, possibly without the stress, I may not have gone bipolar. I don't know about any of that, but it does seem, fuck yeah, I don't know enough about overall, but I have heard a lot about schizophrenia and bipolar, like insanity, just being really universally present. Just that's where all the fucking shamans and the early artists and religious visionaries. Why do I have to prove this fucking message? I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, I trust all you guys. I'm just going to approve everything that I see. For some reason, things keep getting held, but the audience here is fucking awesome. So I'm just going to keep hitting approve and let everything go through. So it appears from what I've heard that like stress can bring it on, but that also it may just fucking happen to some of us. And perhaps the overall social organism needs a certain amount of insane people so that it just happens naturally. Dust to Dust says, haha, I don't smoke. I do, however, take meds. Hey, if your meds are working for you, awesome. I'm completely non-judgmental about that. I understand the point of view of people who don't like taking meds, don't trust the big chemical companies and all that fucking shit. But I also understand for some people it fucking helps. And hey, whatever works for people, I'm behind. Chris says, yay, I didn't miss all this. Yay, Grizz, you got to come see me ramble about being depressed and being loony. How you doing tonight? So Caesar says, animals are awesome. I had to approve this. It starts with animals are awesome. I love cats and kittens best. What? Oh, okay, you use the word bullshit and fucked later, I guess is why. All right, sorry. Caesar says, animals are awesome. I love cats and kittens best. I want to get one in the future. Had one when I was 6, 7 years old, but this is fucked up. My dad actually killed it. No bullshit. So sad and angry. Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I hope you can get a cat sometime. Personally, I'm allergic to cats, so I love them at a distance, but not inside my house and not up close. But what you said about thinking back to being 6, 7 years old, the one thing that's really, really, really helped me has been taking good care of my inner child. No, I'm going to correct that. Like, part of my brain spoke up there and said, no, like, you have to take good care of every part of you. And yeah, that's true. I've had to go through and take good care of, yeah, I guess what Ryan's getting me more and more to think of as sub-personalities. I have to really listen to all of them. There's way too much power hidden down in there for me to leave things operating outside my knowledge. But taking care of my inner child has just been massively helpful. I can't even say how helpful taking care of my inner child has been in dealing overall with stress, with depression, with manic phases, particularly with stress. It's like I collect vintage toys. I collect toys that I either had or wish I had when I was a kid, toys from the 80s. And collecting them has just been so... Actually, I was in touch with Justice Curry. He runs a channel about toy collecting, and he's fucking awesome. And he used... Well, not so... But anyway, he got into toy collecting right after quitting drinking. And collecting toys helped him overcome his addiction and make meaningful friendships and shit, and has had a really positive effect on his life. And his videos are so fun. He's so fucking upbeat. I messaged him, and as soon as Ryan has some extra time, and we could start recording talks again. We're going to be having Justice Curry on to talk about toy collecting and how it's affected him psychologically and helped him overcome drinking and make meaningful friendships. So I will talk more about that then, but I shouldn't even be giving advice, but that's how it was going to come out of my mouth as advice. So just notice that you said you want to get a kitten in the future and that you had one when you were 6 or 7. And that memory is powerful enough that you wrote about it to me on this live stream. So I would say pay attention to that, and maybe it would be good to get yourself a kitten. And anyway, I shouldn't be giving anyone any fucking advice. Andrew says, what's it like for you when you smoke too much weed? I haven't had any since October last year, apart from having it in my dreams. When I smoke too much weed, it makes whatever I have worse. So like if I'm depressed and I smoke too much weed, it makes the depression worse. If I'm manic and I smoke too much weed, and I don't mean just get too high once, I mean like smoke too much weed all the time or too often, it makes the mania worse and kick into the psychosis worse. It's odd. At a lower level, it takes the edge off the depression or takes the edge off anxiety, and sometimes even takes the edge off mania. Like it takes some of that racing thoughts and slows them down a bit. But then if I smoke too much, it speeds up again and then goes even fucking faster. Or when I'm depressed, takes me even deeper. And by the way, good for you that you haven't had any weed since October last year, man. Remember how long you were struggling with that? And like, fucking look at you. I know you have a tendency to just move on to the next thing you need to fix. But like, look at how fucking awesome you've done with that. Congratulations on however many months that is that you've been sober. Good for you. And yeah, even though I smoke weed, I'm fucking totally here to talk people through getting off weed or quitting any other drug that's not good for you. We all know what the fuck drugs are good or bad for us. And I support anyone in getting off of any drug that isn't good for them in their own opinion. So Levi says, you're right about weed dosage. Bipolar, I feel, is a gift given to anyone who's had a tough life. It's almost like the brain becomes overclocked. Yeah, I see bipolar as a gift as well. It's like a dangerous gift. Like in the X-Men comics, the mutation, how like dangerous it is, but is a gift for some if you can learn to control it. I feel the same way about that. Although really, I feel that it's not that I had a tough life. Like my childhood was fucking easy. I had some problems with not fitting in, but I had a fantastic fucking home life, and I never went through any major tragedies. Like for me, tragedies where we moved around a couple times when I was a kid. I didn't handle that well at all. But I had a really fucking privileged life compared to the average person up to when I went nuts. But I wasn't a full human being. I thought I was my thoughts. I thought I lived in the real world. For me, my insanity was a gift, but it's like it broke me free of... Feels like the bus was on the road to Damascus, and like it took a bus to knock the scales off my eyes, and that I was meant to be aware of the greater aspect of reality during this lifetime. And I would have been trapped in functionality if I hadn't gone crazy. And I would have been trapped in thinking I was in the real world, like that I was fooled by the Matrix and wasn't aware that I was something else plugged into this reality. And so for me, getting hit by the bus, I feel like my angels sent it to knock me out of sanity, because sanity is that trap of believing you know what's going on. Trust the process says, listen to David Goggins. You will be bipolar depressed free in a week. Mark my words. Okay, I would like to check that out. That just reminded me the last time I went live for the full moon, a whole bunch of people recommended shit I should check out. At the time, I totally would love to check it out. I don't often come back to these fucking things after. I really just try to let go of what I've done so that I don't obsess over it. And so there's a good chance I'm going to forget about that. But that's not that I'm not interested. If you really think I should look that up, feel free to ask me again. 'Cause some people have done that, brought things up again and again, and eventually I do remember to check them out. So I might check that out if I remember to. Okay, Levi says, okay, we're going to get into Avengers Endgame spoilers here, apparently. So anyone who doesn't want spoilers, I guess fucking stop listening and watch the movie and then come back and listen to the rest of this. Yeah, like anyone would fucking do that. All right, Levi says, did you see the new Avengers movie? Yes, I did. Hulk and Bruce Banner okay, and I'm glad I did. If I didn't, I would stop reading there. I can't stand spoilers. But I did see it. So Hulk and Bruce Banner become one. That's basically the end goal of bipolar stability. Okay, I love actually the way that is a great like myth symbol for integration. And I totally support other people that that's their goal, to become stable, to stop going from one to the other. But it seems to me that at least for now, I'm going to be going from one to the other. And so I'm not fighting that anymore. Well, I mean, I've practiced the skills and learned the ways to treat myself when I'm depressed. And I practice the skills and learn the way to treat myself when I'm manic. And so I know the things to do to ease my depression, to turn it into better rest, to manage it, to keep it from getting worse than it needs to be. I've learned how to work with that energy, how to survive the winter. I've learned how to do that spiritually, like to survive the winter. And I've learned how spiritually to survive the summer, hold back when it's too extreme. But I'm not trying to stabilize, like just drive a straight line. I'm just trying to take the edge off the fucking peaks and valleys and learn to ride this out better, is how I'm treating it. I totally support you trying to treat it differently, but I'm learning to surf these waves of madness instead of fighting them. Yeah, I'm really not fighting anything. I'm really trying to fucking flow and recognize my madness as part of the Tao. But since we did, this is spoiler territory anyway, there was one thing about Endgame I really liked. I really liked when Thanos, having seen this, future that was created when he managed to kill half the universe. Even though I disagree with I wouldn't be doing what he does. I think he makes a valid point in what he says he wants to do, or when he says his mistake wasn't that he killed half the universe, as in he shouldn't have killed half. It was that he didn't kill the entire universe. And he says something about how you're too caught up in what you've lost to realize what you could create. And he says, I'm going to gather the stones and destroy this universe down to its last atom, and then create a new life that knows nothing of what it has lost and only knows what it has been given. And I think that's a fantastic point. And I think that we each in ourselves do that constantly, because the future is potential. Like the future has all these infinite potentials in it. When consciousness arrives at now, what happens is all of those potentials collapse into a single actual moment. And every moment of now destroys every other possible now, every other potential that could have been. Once we reach the moment and collapse that into one actual moment, we've lost all the other potential could have been. So you could become a great athlete and just mourn the fact that you never became a filmmaker. You could be a great filmmaker and mourn the fact that you didn't get to be a veterinarian. You can infinitely regret what you don't have. And there's so much more of that. There's so much more potential that never happens. There's so many other ways everything could have gone with your past that it's so easy to get caught up in what we lost, that we're not grateful for what we have, including these fucking moments of being depressed. We can get so spoiled by existing that it becomes outrageous to us, unacceptable, that we have to suffer for a while. I'm depressed. Oh, this cannot be. Everything should be different so that I don't feel this way, as opposed to being fucking amazed that you're here and you're depressed and you're aware of it. And what the fuck's aware that you're depressed? And where the fuck exactly are you? And what's going on around you that you don't see? Because all you see is what isn't there. And so I really like Thanos' point about our universe, well, us, humanity, being ungrateful for what we have because we're too focused on what we don't. That was a lot of rambling about that. Okay, spoilers are over, although anyone who stopped listening didn't hear that. So Swamp Thing, hi Swamp Thing, I love you. It was really great when Alan Moore was creating you. Asks, which toy lines do I collect? I collect Masters of the Universe, is the one I've collected the most. I also collect Sectars that were in stores just for 1 year in 1985. Fuck it, and love Sectars. I've got a couple Crystar figures. I've got some Swamp Thing toys, the toys that came out in 91 from that really short cartoon that was just like 5 episodes. So I've got some Swamp Thing toys. I've got a couple, like, not vintage toys, but I've got a couple, like, Twilight Zone toys, some Watchmen toys. And the other classic line from 1987, again, another toy line that didn't last long, Supernaturals, the ones with the holograms. I fucking love those. I've got all the Ghostlings, and I've got the Tomb of Doom from Supernaturals. I don't know, I might be missing some, but those are the ones that I have so far. I've been hunting a lot for Black Star toys, but haven't picked any up yet. Like, there's lots of toys that I've been watching for, like, to expand into. I'd be interested in collecting Stariors. I loved those as a kid. Rock Lords, Inhumanoids, but none of those have I bought any yet. Although I've been looking at Black Star ones a lot. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet on any of those. But the two I have the most of are, definitely the one by far that I have the most of is Masters of the Universe. And after that, probably Sectars that I have the most. So what about you? Do you collect toys, or are you just showing interest in the fact that I did? Oh, also, for anyone out there that you like, the thought of the toys is enough. If you don't want to actually collect toys yourself, there's some interesting shows like the Toys That Made Us, and Toy Hunter, but also there's some really cool channels on YouTube. People that collect toys. There's Michael Mercy. There's Motu Joe. There's Justice Curry, who we'll be having on here at some point. And even if you don't want to collect themselves, if you were into Masters of the Universe or G.I. Joe Transformers is another I haven't collected, but the first generation line of those were fucking awesome. I would be interested in vintage Transformers possibly one day. But anyway, you don't want to actually buy them yourself, but you want some of that nostalgia. Check out some of the toy collector channels. When I'm really stressed out sometimes, I go to those toy collector channels, or I do, hunting online. You can put a lot of hours into it if you're trying to find rare shit and you don't have much money. You can spend just hours and hours and hours pouring through trying to find places where people are selling them cheap. But just watching people like Justice Curry or Michael Mercy getting excited about the toys they collect has a good nostalgic value as well. Caesar says, thanks, man. Appreciate that. I feel I went a bit too morbid there, but I'm going to therapy and doing better and better. Meds work fine in group therapy. Life generally is improving. That's fucking fantastic. I'm really glad to hear things are improving. Dust to Dust says nothing wrong with advice. Yeah, I think a long time ago I said I shouldn't be giving advice. Grizz, fuck yeah, I think I'm responding to really old stuff. Where did that go? Okay, here's where I was. Our good friend Grizz says, I've been stuck and loathing it. I've been weedless, which I often refer to as off meds, for a couple weeks now. I was burning through it and not getting the benefits anymore. Fuck, sorry to hear you're feeling like that. And we'll see each other tomorrow during the Sacred Flip if you're going to make it. Or later today now. Yeah, sorry to hear that you're feeling stuck and loathing it. Dust to Dust says, I think of collecting toys, my mind goes back to Ninja Turtles, LOL. I never got that into Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. Like, they were really big. I had a couple of the comic books, and I saw like the first movies when they came out and liked them like okay. But I didn't get super into the Ninja Turtles. I had a Nintendo, like a Ninja Turtles Nintendo game. And I did watch the cartoon sometimes, but I never had any of the toys as a kid, and I didn't want them as a kid. And I find, that the fun is collecting the toys I wanted as a kid. So for some reason, I never got that into Ninja Turtles, but Pixel Dan is a channel. He's really into Ninja Turtles. He's another toy channel. But if you had them as a kid and you liked them, go check out some of the videos of grown men collecting them and getting all fucking nerdy and excited about it and talking about them. You might enjoy it. Kirk says, hey, Merc, nice to change out with you. The summer solstice is really taking it out of me. Okay, yeah, nice to hang out. That's an obvious thing as well. I just fucking read exactly what is written there and sometimes don't notice a typo, like what should obviously be there. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad you were able to hang out tonight. Usually for me at the summer solstice, I'm really riding the mania high. This year is fucking weird. It is abnormal for me to be depressed in the summer this way. Part of it's doing the channel and a bunch of other shit, but also I remember on the vernal equinox, I did a ritual to draw in summer, like my summer energy early to get a bunch of shit done. And I did a lot of work getting my house cleaned up, and I was really fucking busy. And I was busier earlier in the year than I usually am. I cut my winter short, and it was just the other day, like the day of the solstice, I was thinking, why the fuck am I so tired? Is it really this hard to talk to people online? And like, is doing the channel really taking this much out of me? And then just the memory popped up that right on the vernal equinox, I did a magic ritual, and it was exactly to absorb, like to bring in the summer energy early. And I did think of it at the time of not like stealing it from the summer. I was thinking bring it in early and expecting it to last. But it's like, I think about the wording of the ritual, and I think perhaps I sucked some of the manic energy out of this time period. As stupid as that will sound to anyone who doesn't believe in any of that shit. And that's fine. If people who take a purely psychological view and are just interested in this to hear what a crazy person thinks and don't believe in any of the other stuff, that's fucking cool. We can all have our own opinions about that if we're being civil with each other and just exploring how each other experience the world. So for me, it's abnormal, although my first 2 cycles were 3 years long. And so I've been depressed through the summer before, because I would have like a 2-year depression. but for the past decade, I've been in a 1-year cycle, and I've not been this depressed at the summer solstice since the last time I was on a 3-year cycle. It's a fucking bummer being depressed in the summer. It is. I really miss the manic energy these past couple days. Depression just sucks all the color out of the world. But I don't think it's going to be the whole summer. I think my manic energy is going to come back and I'm going to have a pleasant summer. This is just a little down period, I think. I'm not sure how far behind I am, so I'm going to try to go through these quicker and get caught up to wherever the fuck we are. So our good friend Levi says, I find the indica sativa just help the mania easier to deal with because there is nothing that stabilizes you instantly, but I find weed minimalizes and helps deal with symptoms. Yes, also cured weed is better than just dried weed. Like properly cured weed, the cannabinoids develop and whatnot, and marijuana actually has like natural antipsychotics in it. I find you get a better balance. You don't get the anxiety and stuff if you can get well cured weed. Chris says, is it odd for you to get hit with this in the summer? I thought you had big, long cycles. Yeah, okay, I just answered that. Yeah, usually I would be manic right now. And in the summer, I could get depressed, especially if I got too tired. And like if bad shit happened, if there was a reason to get sad, the depression could come in, but it would like sort of require something. But more often in the summer, the negative emotions are more like frustration, irritability, anger. Usually when I'm manic, I'm feeling great, but like it can get to where anything outside of my weird fucking consciousness is really annoying to me. So people just trying to talk too rationally or almost trying to ground reality becomes really irritating, and it's easy to get frustrated and annoyed. So there's lots of negative emotions in the mania, but usually I'm pretty consistently levels of manic. And so this is unusual. It's the combination. It's partly doing this channel. Well, that's also weird because usually stress fires up whatever I have. It doesn't reverse it. It's like usually if I'm depressed and under stress, the depression just gets way the fuck worse. And when I'm manic, stress pushes me higher into mania. What I was bracing myself for months ago was that when the mania comes in, I might have to really put on the brakes and like step away from the channel so it doesn't push me too manic. But perhaps it's that fucking ritual I did, or perhaps it's that this is an odd kind of stress, because there is for me a large spiritual element to this. This feels very meaningful. This also isn't too fucking real world. Like you guys are also make believe. You're all these words appearing on the screen, or sometimes magically I'm talking to Grizz, but he's inside my world when I'm talking to him. I don't have to go out into his reality. This all feels oddly make-believe to a certain part of me. And it's very meaningful. So it's a different kind of stress than other stresses to do this channel. Because I also feel like, I'm being asked to. It's, with a sense of life purpose. So it's strange. Kirk says, totally agree with the THC thing. I try to microdose it rather than get high. Yeah, often I'm just taking a little bit, so I'm not really getting high. Right now I'm smoking and getting high. This is about as high as and this isn't as high as I used to get. I used to smoke way the fuck more weed before I was crazy. So I smoke it on a regular basis, but I get less high. And sometimes I need a few puffs, especially earlier in the day. I smoked very little. Sometimes, and just a couple puffs to get it in my system and not really feeling the effects of feeling high. Levi says, check out that YouTube channel called Bipolar or Waking Up. I believe I have checked that out. That sounds familiar, but it's not coming to mind exactly the fuck what it is. He has great videos that theorize the connection between psychotic manic episodes and depressive episodes. That sounds familiar. I think I have seen that channel, but I'm not remembering the content at the moment. Dust to Dust says, would be a good thing, bring a notepad before you start. Oh, you're saying because I let shit go by that people recommend and don't check it out later. See how fucking smart I am, even though I'm depressed and tired? I realized what that was. You're right, and that's a very obvious thing that I should have thought of on my own. I should do that. Thank you for the sage advice. Levi says, apologies for spoiler, folks. No problem. In fact, you started with, have you seen the movie? So anyone who didn't want spoilers, just like me, if I still didn't want spoilers, I would have stopped reading there. But yeah, I think anytime we discuss fiction, we should all try to give spoiler alerts because I hate those. I prefer to read a book or see a movie knowing as little as possible about it beforehand. Kaiser says, but science says bipolar is both. Oh, it just jumped all the way. Held for review, Potato. All right, I said I would just approve anything without reading it. There you go. Hit show. Is that why it jumped to the bottom? Oh, wow. There's like a shitload of stuff ahead of me. Okay, I'm going to try to move more quickly through this. I already said that. Anyway, Caesar. Science says bipolar is both caused by genes and environment, right? In my instance, several family members have had either bipolar or having borderline disorder. Yeah, absolutely. From what I've heard, it's a combination of both genes and environment. And I don't know exactly where the line is, but it's an interesting thing to hear about. Nicholas says, yes, genetic and environment. Absolutely. Dust to Dust says, no problem. Kind of sick of comic hero movies. Blaming genes, I find, is way too broad. You could make anyone go bipolar given enough turmoil. I'm not sure about that. I think perhaps, like, you can definitely make someone go crazy with enough turmoil, but people might break differently depending on their genes. Not exactly sure about that. Potato wants to know if I have any Beanie Babies. No, I don't have Beanie Babies. I've never collected those, but I also wouldn't look down on anyone else collecting those. Like grown men who collect My Little Ponies or Barbies or stuff. Fuck, if that's what you enjoy collecting, like, that's fucking cool. I have no problem with that at all. Levi says, I used to love Biker Mice from Mars. Those were cool. I never had any as a kid, but I'm aware of that toy line. And Levi says, but I'm huge on Power Rangers collecting. That shit been going on since the 70s in Japan. Okay, and yeah, you're younger than me, right, Levi? Power Rangers for me got popular in North America. You're right, it's older in Japan. But for me, by the time that was popular in North America, I was already older. And my younger siblings watched that. But it didn't match up with my childhood. So I've never been into Power Rangers. But if you enjoy collecting that shit, that's awesome. And I do enjoy watching like episodes and shit about, like, if someone else is into collecting something like Power Rangers or Beanie Babies, if the other person enjoys it enough, I enjoy, like, seeing the collections and shows on that. But I don't collect Power Rangers myself. Shane says, ever read any William James? I don't think so, unless it's not coming to mind. I think you'd like him. Any thoughts on religious belief? What justifies them? Also, I think your point on regret is important. It's important to be grateful. Yes, absolutely. Very important to be grateful. My thoughts on religious belief are that I am spiritual. I'm sort of that make your own religion of one type thing. It's like I believe in God, but don't know exactly what God is, and believe that the reality of God is beyond our comprehension while we're within this mortal coil anyway. So I don't expect to understand it, but I am searching to understand God, and either delusionally hallucinating that I interact with the spiritual dimension, or I do interact with it, whichever frame other people want to put on it. But I'm very respectful of any religious belief. And again, for me, it's like individual things. Like if your spiritual belief involves harming others, then we're not going to agree that that's good spirituality. But beyond that, like if you're following those basic natural laws, any other religious trappings you have, I'm completely respectful of. Any other faith or any other individual that's a church of one. But for me, that's half of life, exploring the religious ideas. Caesar says, I'm not blaming genes. As far as I know from science on, genes are needed to get it developed. Genes get stressed by environment, trauma, etc. You can make anyone go psychotic, etc. through enough turmoil. Yeah, you can induce psychosis on anyone. Potato says, okay, good point here, Potato. Collecting toys, drugs, all just different forms of escapism. Yeah, I won't disagree with that at all. I spend a lot of my time not paying attention to the greater reality at all. I need a break from reality. And my toy collecting and drugs, and not even just drugs, like meditation, you can alter your consciousness in all sorts of ways. You can look at hunting or camping and hiking as escapism as well. There's nothing wrong with escaping reality now and then. What the fuck's the point of being crazy if you can't escape from reality? Sometimes We Are Victorious says, sometimes escapism is good if you are lost and don't know what to do. Yes, Caesar says, on toys, I have started painting Warhammer Fantasy and other medieval miniatures as I did 15 years ago. LOL, getting old. I'm 32. That's awesome that you're doing that and enjoying it. I'm almost 41. Tato says, I don't think so. Fleeing from reality is never good. All right, we can agree to disagree on that. We Are Victorious says, well, is it really? Just not focusing on problems and fun or entertainment instead. It doesn't change anything, but it can help you center or what have you. And Potato says that won't solve the problems, though. And so, yeah, no, absolutely. There's a time to take care of real problems, although I'm bipolar and I have a hard time taking care of real problems. It's like, here's a good example. Peterson tells this story in one thing where it says he's helping this one patient with depression and the guy's house is a mess, and he's trying to help encourage him. And the guy comes in the 1 week and says that he, tried to start cleaning up, and he got the vacuum and took it to the door of his bedroom and saw that he would just have to clean up too much to be able to vacuum, I think. And so he just set the vacuum right there in the doorway and gave up, and then walked away. And that since then, for the past couple weeks, he's been stepping over the vacuum to go in and out of the bedroom. Peterson laughs at how, extreme that is. But I can identify that with that totally. I had a problem with my shower, and the hot water is just getting worse and worse and worse, but I didn't know how big a problem it would be. I couldn't face even beginning to deal with it, and it just kept getting gradually worse and worse and worse until all last winter, the shower it wasn't pure cold, freezing cold, but it was cool and pretty cold. Even when you turned it all the way to hot, I had cold showers all fucking winter because I couldn't handle the stress of trying to face getting that fixed. And then a couple months ago, I finally, said to my dad that I was ready to face, the the problem with the shower, and me and him together fixed it for fucking next to nothing. And I knew the whole time that it was possibly really easily fixable, but it was too much for me. And like, I'm not defending that. Absolutely, it would have been better if I fixed my fucking shower a year ago. I was having hot showers all winter, especially in the fucking winter. And this is like an old house heated with a wood stove, so the bathroom gets cold. There was no reason for me to be having cold, fucking miserable showers all winter. It felt so amazing to have hot showers again. But yeah, that's one of the problems with depression is you can't face problems. And I'm not like defending it or saying you shouldn't face your problems as much as you can. But those of us with extreme depression sometimes can't handle very much. And collecting toys and that stupid escapism, the more actively I've done that shit and not been embarrassed about it and just like embraced the escapism, although I mix it with actual spiritual practice as well. But anyway, I won't defend it. The total escapism, all that useless time meditating, has gotten me pulled together enough that I did fix the fucking shower this year. And I may not be doing anything that's impressive to anyone else. And by a normal standard, I may be pathetic, but I'm a little bit less pathetic than I used to be. And I'm content with the way I am, with the way I'm developing. I'm doing my best. I'm changing as fast as I can. I see no point in being ashamed of whatever level I am at. Anyway, Levi says, oh, sorry, I messed up a previous comment. I meant that the bipolar or waking up theorizes the connection between bipolar and spiritual awakenings. Yeah, there's some people doing interesting work on that connection. But I think I'm really far ahead, and I want to try to get caught up to what is fresh. So I'm sorry, because I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to try to keep up with this as it goes, and then I won't get to all the shit at the end, or I jump ahead a bit here, skip a few things, and read something at the end. And I've already decided what I'm going to do, and what I'm doing now is just wasting the time. I could be reading something from further down. So I'm going to skip through a bit and see if I can get caught up. But I want to let Potato here, I want to be sure to address this criticism or to allow the free speech. I don't want to look like I'm trying to skip this. So Potato says this guy needs to get a job, a woman, and some kids. No time for depression anymore. And stop being a degenerate druggie. That's cool that you think that, but I don't think I'm going to take any of your advice. Doing this channel's the most of a job I can handle, and I'm going to stick with this, but I'm not going to look for any other job. And that's against even all the psychiatric advice I've had. I'm definitely not getting a woman and some kids because I already have a woman and some kids. And I don't want more than one woman. I do have time for depression. I can spend my time the way I want. And yeah, no, I'm not going to stop being a degenerate druggie. I'm going to take whatever medications I need to take. And fortunately, my medication's legal. And I'm not going to stop being a degenerate either. I'm fine with being a degenerate. I'm just going to be the best damn degenerate I know how to be. Grizz says, you're putting out a lot of energy that lifts a lot of people up. Are accepting the gratitude energy to feel it back up. Yeah, you're right. I'm actively putting out a lot of energy to people, and I possibly have energy being directed back at me that I'm not aware of because I put up a significant shield, like bubble, around this to not get too sucked up in it. But you're right. Some people may be sending energy that perhaps I've blocked and should be accepting. And We Are Victorious is correct. I do have a wife. Potato says, who collects toys while being a grown man? That's me. Other cool people do too. And We Are Victorious makes a good point here. Why watch a grown man talk about collecting toys as a grown man? Yes, I've also wondered that about you, Potato, because you've been on a lot of Ryan's streams. Why do you spend so much time watching our live streams? Like, what on earth do you get out of listening to me ramble? I've been on for almost an hour now. I intended for this to be quick. I got caught up in it. It's past 2 in the morning. But fuck it, I'll stick around a little longer. Yes, I've wondered, and I have no ill will towards you whatsoever, Potato. Like, this isn't a dig or anything, but isn't there something better? There's so much shit on YouTube. Actually, even to the people like me, there's so much shit out there that's better than this. But particularly if you don't like me, what on earth are you doing spending some of your limited time here? Like, I have time to be depressed. That's a part of my life and I'm fine with it. But why do you have time to even listen about it if you don't have time for this kind of shit? And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I really wish you the best, Potato. Yeah, so I want to make sure I get Potato's voice out here. I'm actually working right now, says Potato. Oh, wait, it jumped. Where the fuck did that go? Okay, this jumped forward on its own. Let's see what Andrew said. Potato, I'd love to see you have a video discussion with Mercury rather than just shit posting on here. Would you be willing to do that? I don't have a mic, so Potato can't talk to us, Andrew. Sorry. Yeah, I know, seriously, like, if you ever did want to talk, and I have no intention of fighting with you, I'm not upset with you at all, but I am genuinely curious why the fuck you watch this. If you ever did want to talk, me and Ryan would definitely talk with you. Let's see, what did Caesar say here? I had a problem with my shower cabinet door, and instead of fixing it, I made a stupid home repair curtain and had that for several months until my cousin visited and he helped me. Took 3 minutes, so easy. Yeah, I have shit like that all the time. And no, I've got a ton of small repairs that need to be done around my place, but also a ton of organizing and cleaning. I'm horrible with all that shit, but I'm doing better than I used to, gradually, a little bit by little bit. Every year I get a little further ahead. I kind of plan my years like days. Spring's like the morning, summer's like the afternoon, fall's like the evening, and winter's like night. I get fuck all done for part of the winter. I'm so depressed. So Programs 10 says, if I have to take a shot and then go for a walk in the sun, is it better than moping on the bed all day? Well, it's up to you which is better. Walk in the sun's great. Sometimes some people choose to mope on the bed all day. And if it's that or kill yourself, then moping on the bed all day isn't a bad choice. Depends how badly fucked up you are. Levi says, when I feel like shit, I take a holiday to either Liberty City, San Andreas, or Vice City for a vacation for a few hours. Usually helps. Video games is a very healthy form of escapism, I'd say. Yeah, I used to play a lot of video games. I don't much anymore. I was playing them less and less for a long time, but since doing the channel, not at all. Okay, so Chris is offering to buy Potato headphones so he can talk to us sometime. And Andrew says that Potato, not for right now, email Ryan and set it up for another time. And Potato says, also, I've been kicked from other streams before because I get really into it sometimes. Yeah, I don't understand why you choose to interact with live streams the way you do, but we would talk to you sometime. And I don't know that I'm always going like, tonight I said I'm just going to approve everything. I don't know that I always will. Like there was a time Ryan was trying to discuss something and you totally derailed the comment section. And I think if you hadn't been doing that, other people would have been able to discuss the topic more. So I'm not sure exactly how I feel about trolls coming on. Other than you, I think when I said I'll just approve everything, there's no one else who put up anything even questionable. But you do have a tendency to intentionally derail conversation in the chat. And so there may be times where when I'm trying to discuss something, like in fact, the point of tonight's stream when I initially started was as basically a mental health outreach, like reaching out to people who are depressed and crazy, to offer support. So why would you choose to come on here and criticize? But I'm not sure that I'll always allow that. I think maybe there's nothing wrong with sometimes reserving the right to say, let's keep the chat on topic, and that we don't have to respond to random trolls or people who dislike Jordan Peterson. Okay, so back to Caesar's other point. I had to laugh at how fast it took to repair compared to the time I used to try to make a temporary one. Yeah, and like what did need to be fixed with my sink, me and my dad were able to do fairly fucking quickly, and the part only cost me less than $20. I didn't know it would be that simple. It's, the unknown dragon, the unknown chaos could be anything, and the reality of it was much easier than what I had imagined it could be. So I put that off way the fuck too long. But in particularly people with depression, it's really easy to make things way the fuck too big in your mind and put off doing simple improvements to your life that are, some improvements are very hard and some improvements are easier than you think to make. So Potato says, if Ryan sends me pics of his girlfriend, Victoria, then I'll debate him on whatever he wants, or pics of his feet. I'm fine with either. No, don't be a degenerate. Yeah, so I think with you, I have tried my hardest to interact, but I'm not sure I will continue to read any of your comments at all, just because I think it might be derailing. And I'm not looking to argue with anybody at all. You can state whatever opinion you want, and it's not going to change me. And it's really not going to make me, even like the other shit I responded to, that was more for the sake of other people listening. I'm really not trying to convince you of anything. So I don't know if I will continue to respond to you anymore. Although Potato says, I like to watch streams where the hosts engage with the audience. Yeah, and it seems some other people enjoy that as well. And hey, maybe not a lot, but there's a handful of people who enjoy these streams where they get to engage with me. And I'm not sure it's fair to them for me to let you disrupt it anytime you want. So Programs 10 says Mercury is not a degenerate. He's helping people and learning to help himself. That makes him the opposite of degenerate. Thank you, Programs 10, for that encouragement. I still don't mind the label degenerate. I'm a degenerate who's doing his best. And if you wouldn't call me a degenerate out of respect, thanks, I appreciate that. But anyone who does like me and, would jokingly say you're a pretty cool fucking degenerate, yeah, I would take the compliment that way as well. So Dust to Dust says, I'm used to trolls. I kind of find Potato funny. Okay, so if people find Potato funny, then maybe we won't block him ever, or maybe I should always read his shit. I don't know. So why am I talking about always at all? I'm just going to do what I do right now, and I'll do whatever I do in the future. So Shane says, wow, what I think a kind of break or escape would supplement reality or allow you to do the right thing better, like a book. 1111, whoa, could the cold showers be linked to the lack of depression? yeah, being able to escape from reality does supplement it if you can learn how to handle it. Despite all the downsides to the way I am, to bipolar or whatever, yeah, I wouldn't give it up. I learn a lot through the difficulties, and the difficulties shape me quite a bit. But also the upside of it is quite fun, which is what I've been missing the past couple days. I've been so low energy and depressed, and yeah, really missing the fun of the more manic escapism. So We Are Victorious says trolling is funny in a mischievous way. Yeah, I don't know. I really not active in social media, and I don't. Before knowing Andrew, I didn't pay attention to comment sections at all. Like, to me, there's nothing. If the intent of trolling is to be like to have fun, then cool. But whatever kind of trolling where you're actually trying to hurt people, I'm not a big fan of. Programs 10 says he's improving the world, not making it worse. Well, I think we all make the world worse in our own little ways. I still make the world worse here and there, but I'm doing my best to improve the world and to limit my damage as much as I can. All right, I'm just going to jump right to the bottom. It's 2:22. Okay, although I did say I would just hit show for everyone, so I will show all of Potato's insults. I didn't say I would read them all, though. Yeah, I'm just going to skip everything else Potato said. I said I'd improve it, not that I'd respond to it all. I've already been on for over an hour. I really did tend to just jump on for a little while. Okay, We Are Victorious says, I slayed 2 dragons this week. Cool. What were they? Chris says, do not cast pearls to swine. Yeah, absolutely a fair point. We Are Victorious says, I collected their teeth and planted them in the ground. Luckily, I feel pretty centered tonight. Not high, not low, thank goodness. Okay, cool. And what's going to grow from the teeth? What is it that's supposed to grow from planted dragon's teeth? Like some sort of soldier? So Dust to Dust says you would be surprised how forgetful you can get. And Caesar says, yeah, that's true. I've gotten really forgetful in previous periods of depression. Yeah, I find my memory doesn't work as well when I'm depressed. Although when I'm manic as well, often it's like I can have so much, my head's so full of racing thoughts going all over the place that my memory can also be affected when I'm manic. But yeah, depression can really slow down brain function. You just don't think as well overall. So Jay says that they just farted. Where Victoria says more dragons will grow. Yes, most likely. So Grizz says, all that internet novices need to know about trolls is the same with strays. Don't feed them. Yeah, I don't know what to do exactly about that, but I will say overall I've been very impressed, although even the tiniest bit of trolling can affect me and Ryan really powerfully. Like both of us, because we're both very sensitive people. Overall, the amount of trolling on the channel has been surprisingly low. And up till now, when I've done Lunatic Lives, I haven't had any problem at all. At least not that I'm thinking of at the moment. I think every other time I've done one, we've been able to just talk about whatever we're talking about. And I mean, people would throw in new stuff or bring up new topics, but all of it was fully in good faith. But yeah, tonight I think would have gone differently if Potato hadn't been here. Because once that starts, other people aren't going to feel as open or as easy about opening up themselves. And yeah, the idea of this, although like it's awesome that all you folks, like all you friends popped on, it's really great to see all you guys. The point of this one was to try to reach out a bit to anyone else who's out there. Because I've had some feedback recently of some people with like major mental illnesses or whatever the fuck you want to call them, neurodiversity, saying that they really appreciated the way I'm so open about it on here. And it can be really hard to accept madness. Fuck, even beyond that, even people who aren't insane, it can be really hard to accept our own human failings. And I guess one of the things I am trying to offer here is just being unapologetically insane. Just trying to be as authentic as I can and as open as I can about the experience. And I really don't have any guilt or shame around it anymore. I mean, like there's certain sub-personalities that do. Like when I get really depressed, that feeling, just to prove that, although I don't know if I'm going to read anything else at all. Wait, what was I saying? Fuck, I think my point was just that one of the things that I'm trying to offer is just being openly crazy, so that some other people can have the same experience I did when I heard Sasha being open about it when he was playing with Leftover Crack on the radio. That made a huge difference in my life, just that one moment. My sister burned me the CD of that. If you can't accept whatever kind of fucking lunatic you are, then you have no hope of managing it well. Like, that's just with anything. If you can't accept you have a problem, or even if it's not a problem, like whoever earlier was saying, to look at it like a gift instead. Even if instead of looking at it like an illness or a problem, you're looking at it like a dangerous gift. Yeah, if you have a dangerous gift, you don't want to be in denial about it. You need to accept it before you can do anything with it. And for my first 6 years of madness, I could not accept it. After my first cycle, I tried to force myself back to normal, and that cracked me up even worse. My second psychosis was much worse, and if I hadn't been dragged into a mental hospital, I would have killed myself, not intentionally, but by not eating and not sleeping and just running around in a complete psychotic state, experiencing the end of the world. And whatever, who gives a fuck? Yeah, that happened to me. It happens to some people. I don't have any guilt or shame around that anymore. Like, same thing with my suicidal depression or any of my other fucking problems. All right. So, and I'm not worried about dying or facing judgment either. In all my time alone, I've spent a lot of time interacting with the other side or experiencing delusions of interacting with the other side. And maybe one of the reasons I don't feel guilt or shame talking about my failings online is I'm not afraid about God's judgment. I've done the best I can, and I have a pretty good relationship with whatever the fuck I experience of whatever the fuck is out there. So I don't know. If I were to die now, I did my best, and I'm not saying I know I've done well enough that when I face God, it's nothing but reward, whatever facing God is. But I've done my best, and whatever amount of punishment or correction I have to take in when I get to the other side, I'm looking forward to divine correction. I have no fear of the wisest judges. I think they'll see that I honestly have tried my best, and whatever criticism there is from the other side, I will be happy to receive. Okay, someone new here, and that was the point of tonight. So I'm going to jump a bit back and talk to Sad Aesthetic. Or wait, or have you commented before? All right. Oh, Andrew's leaving. Good night. Andrew says, good night, y'all, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll be making vlogs again starting soon. Okay, good night, Andrew. Great having you on here tonight. Thanks for showing up. And yeah, let's do a talk, me, you, and Ryan soon. And everyone go subscribe to his channel. He's going to be putting out content again soon. That's fucking awesome. Okay, so Sad says, you okay, bro? You shouldn't be. Let's see. Sad says, I've seen a lot of death, man. I survived the worst mass shooting in the US. Saw a kid die in a hit and run after that. Then my son died in birth a month after, plus half of my friends died of overdoses. Life is really precious. You don't want to lose it. It can get better. Did for me, at least. I'm glad I didn't end it. Okay, yes, under a different name. Okay, so you've been subbed since 2000, randomly saw this. That was in response to something else you said. Okay, so we've talked you under a different name, though. So, okay, everything you just said, so everything you've been through, you're absolutely right. Like, I have not had a difficult life compared to some people. I've had a difficult life compared to some people with my experiences with madness, or I've had my own problems, but definitely people have had it much worse than you. And there's people who can go through so much fucking trauma and such a difficult life and not crack up. And then some of us, just the tiniest little thing at the wrong time, and we fucking snap. But yeah, it sounds like you've really been through some serious shit, and I'm glad you never ended it. So don't worry, this isn't any kind of call for help kind of thing. I've got my depression under control. Like, I've got my bipolar under control enough I can handle it. It takes a lot of work to maintain it at times, but no, I know how to handle shit. And so if I come on in an extreme state, I don't think I've come on super manic yet. But when I come on really depressed, I'm just trying, like, I'm not coming on looking for help. I'm all right. Even if sometime I may talk about suicidal thoughts just to share what it is like, both for other people who are experiencing it so we can connect over our shared understanding of suicide, and for people who might have loved ones or just out of intellectual curiosity want to know more about depression and suicide. So I'll speak from those parts of me at times just to share it. but there's no risk I'm going to kill myself. And I haven't been in an insane asylum for 10 years. So I think I've got my shit under control enough. I can handle it. But I'm coming on and trying to be open about what it's like for the sake of other people out there who have the same problems. And because it's one thing to have these issues to begin with, but then on top of it, we can have it where it's also not okay that we're that way. So if you're depressed and it's unacceptable that you're depressed, so you're either trying to deny it and fake your way through it, or you're just beating up on yourself even more for it. Like, fuck you, you worthless piece of shit. Look at you, you're no good to anyone. You just sit there feeling sad. And then you can even abuse yourself with the fact that you don't have real trauma. Like, my depressed part of me could go, yeah, look at yourself fucking crying like a baby, and you haven't been through shit compared to, you know, sad. You haven't had to watch your kids die. You haven't had this or this or this. And you can really abuse yourself for being depressed, which makes it that much worse. So if you're fucking depressed, or if you have anxiety, or you're schizophrenic, or whatever it is, that's hard enough on its own. Also, making it unacceptable to be that way just makes it even worse. All right, so I see Shane is saying good night. Good night, Shane. I hope you sleep well. So Sad says, I feel you. I was a lot different at different times. Cool. Good like you, man. My ex-girlfriend, the one I had the son with, was bipolar. I get it. Grizz says, I had to differentiate suicidal thoughts from just wanting not to be alive anymore. I used to think they were the same. That's an excellent fucking point, Grizz. Those are two different things. And if you can separate them, I don't want to be alive anymore. It's just like you can fucking want to drink, but drinking is a different thing. You can want to not be alive without actively wanting to kill yourself. But if you can't differentiate them, then when you're feeling that sense of not wanting to be alive, it's easy for that to automatically bring in the suicidal thoughts. And I find if you can just accept that sometimes you don't want to be alive, and if you allow that to be acceptable, it's easier to deal with than if you try to. And I mean, if for other people, if that works, if you can be like Jocko and just will it into being, like, I'm not going to be depressed anymore. I'm just going to man up and push all the depression out. And you can go, and then you're fine and you're not depressed. If you can do that through force of will, great. But I can't do it. And if you're someone else who experiences depression, and like, yes, try your best to fix it, like to deal with it, to soothe yourself, to get whatever healing you need. But if you are going to be depressed, it's easier to roll with it than to constantly be fighting it sometimes. Well, it's after 2:30. I didn't intend to be on here that long. I'm going to read through these last couple things really quick, and then I think I'm going to call it a night. Sad says, I've been institutionalized a lot my entire childhood. About 14 to 18 was a bad opiate addiction. Was abused a lot in those and mental places when older. I've been there. On the one hand, I'm sorry to hear that you've been through that shit. And on the other hand, you're equally an expression of the infinite creator to every other great hero we admire. And it appears you're strong enough to handle this difficult role you've been assigned to. So, seems like you're playing a difficult role well. Good job. So in Dust to Dust says, when you see asylum, do you mean a hospital or an institution? Yeah, it was always in the in mental hospitals. Once like in a mental hospital, that the institutions, the whole thing's a mental hospital. Other times just in the mental wing of a hospital. And my stays were never that long. I'm always trying to get out as soon as I can. And I'm fucking annoying to have locked up. And very cooperative with any opportunity to get out. So I've been in and out a bunch of times, but I think the longest I get once was just under 2 weeks. Sad. We all still have problems, though, for sure. I totally validate your feelings 100%. Thank you. And I'm glad you're able to join us tonight, because aside from myself being very open about what I go through, a lot of members of the community here as well, either in comments or by coming on and talking to us, have been sharing very vulnerable things. So good for you all as well for opening up about your problems. And overall, with the exception of a very tiny minority, you've been a very welcoming community, both for me and Ryan, but also for each other. So Grizz says, good night, Merc. Thanks for the stream. You are welcome, good sir. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow in the class if you can make it. And Caesar says, thanks for this good stream. You're a good man and well-meaning lunatic. Appreciate this and looking forward to the next one if I'm able to join. Take care. Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. And anyone who comes across this in the future and actually watches it till the end, if you're suffering with mental illness or however you want to frame it, and especially if you're feeling a lot of guilt and shame, you're not alone. I'm completely fucking crazy as well, and I'm here. Ryan's here. He's not a lunatic, but he's very well-intentioned and very supportive in a non-judgmental way. And the whole community here, so there's the odd person who comes on and comments in a way that isn't optimally productive, but overall the community here is very warm and welcoming and non-judgmental. So if you're out there and alone, and you've found your way here, come back, watch a bit more if you feel like it, comment, and reach out. Anyone who wants to talk to Ryan and I, it's sortingmyselfout0@gmail.com. Good night, everyone. God bless, and lunatic love to all.